It gives me great pleasure to have Danny Bloor on, Hastings manager, for episode 128 of the Sussex by the Sea podcast. Danny, coming off a nice little victory against Chatham on Tuesday. How are you this afternoon, sir?
Yeah, well, it's certainly a lot sweeter, Chris, than I was on Saturday at 5:10. Yeah, bitterly disappointed to crash out of the FA Cup. We made a couple of decisions, and then to beat Chatham on Tuesday night was really, really pleasing. And our young players did particularly well against a really good Chatham side, who themselves were really unfortunate to go out of the FA Cup against Slough Town last Saturday. We were 3-0 up with 90 minutes, but the ref played an astonishing 13 minutes of additional time, and it took a bit of a gloss off it, them scoring 2 late goals, but we played certainly well in the 90 minutes, as they say.
I listened on the radio. Danny couldn't be there because I was at work. The pleasure and the pain, they got that across well. Bit of a nail biter at the end.
Well, good job. Good job. I've got no hair, Chris, because I'd certainly be putting my hair up. But no, listen, we've got some young players. It was really good to get Sam Crutwell patched up and get him back on the pitch. He hadn't played since the Brighton friendly way back in July. But we lacked experience. Jack Dixon was unavailable, so getting Crutwell back on the pitch was really, really crucial. And he's going to be a really important player for us going into October, November, and the winter, etc.
No, 100%, the class act. Danny, just wanted to go back to a little bit of your previous. You're mostly known for your time at Eastbourne Borough.
Yeah.
What was that like to build a side? And also, what would you say is the big difference between the league above and this one? In your opinion?
Well, first, I'll answer those questions, Chris. Firstly, to build a side, I took over. They were in the bottom 3, and it was a lot around COVID time as well. But I can remember my first game at Eastbourne, we beat Hungerford 1-0. Dean Cox, who isn't the biggest, he scored with a header. And then that was in the November 2019. We then turned the corner and it was into 2020. And COVID pretty much struck upon us quickly. And I can remember the last game before COVID, it was 14th of March 2020. We beat Maidstone. And I'm not really sad, but it was a day I was 50. So it was a day I remember well. And it was then a really odd time, phone-in fans, really integrating with the people of Eastbourne. And then we came back, we started training when you were allowed to do so, and it just really evolved from there. In the end, we were going in schools. My friend and the lady who was involved with the commercial side, Shan Ansell, did a brilliant job. We were in schools, we were really integrated in the community. And I think my first game at home at Priory Lane as manager, the crowd was just under 400. And my last game against Concord Rangers, I think it was nearly 1,700 there. So it was totally different to as it is at Hastings now. The crowd's been brilliant from the day I walked through the door. It was good. It was good fun. And we became like a family, Chris. Everyone was there for each other. And I've relayed this story before. The local takeaway Chinese restaurant, the Windmill, owned by a guy called Kevin, Sean as well, had gone in there and done a deal, as they say, with Kevin. He got some boards and some programme advertising. And he said, if we scored a penalty, he'd give the boys a free Chinese on a Thursday evening after training, or if we saved a penalty. I can remember a game at Priory Lane against Hungerford again. And I think we were winning 4-5-1 or something like that. And we got a penalty. And the game was pretty much put to bed, but the whole excitement was, crikey, if we can score this penalty, it's the Chinese this Thursday. So it was an unbelievable team spirit. And it ended on a really disappointing note. New owners came in, they made a decision, and it was the decision that they made, and we were disappointed. I then went to Welling, and I won't lie, that didn't go terribly well. I was outside my comfort zone going to London, and it was difficult. And that sort of ended in January this year. And then Hastings feels like I've come home, really. I was at Hastings for a spell, I think about 8-9 years ago, and I feel like I'm back at home at Hastings. It's a Sussex club, and it's as I say, it's like being home, and the fans are just absolutely unbelievable. They're singing and the songs they make up, and it was lovely to hear that on Tuesday evening, and it was nice. We're not going to get it right. I make loads and loads of mistakes, and people question what you do sometimes. I think even on Tuesday night, and I don't do social media, but people were questioning our substitutions. Well, we had to make the substitutions. Finn Chapman, who was man of the match, was outstanding. He hadn't started a game. He was on his feet, so we had to take him off. Sam Crutwell, as I've said earlier, we sort of willed him out to play. He couldn't move. So sometimes fans don't understand that it's not always what appears to be. Sometimes you have to do things because they're needed to be done. So that was that was good on Tuesday. But as I say, Eastbourne Borough, and I think, did you say what the highlight was there when it was getting to the first round proper of the FA Cup, a live televised game against Blackpool? Alas, that was in COVID times. And then, a budget, really, and the people who were in charge at the time, the budget should have seen us in the relegation zone. It is about budgets, but we somehow managed to get the team in the playoffs. We lost away at Oxford City. And then the following season, we missed out on the last Saturday. And it is about budgets, and it doesn't matter if it's the Premier League or the National League South or the Isthmian Premier that we're in now. The sides with the bigger budgets genuinely are at the top. We know that wasn't the case when Leicester City won the Premier League, but that's generally what it is. So, that was my time at Eastbourne. Ended on a sour note. Things were said, things happened that perhaps, were disappointed me, but I certainly left the club in a far better place than when I arrived. And it's a time I look back with, back to with great fondness.
Well, to hear. The one question I did ask you was what's the sort of any major difference between that league and this league?
I think that the thing that I've found is I actually think the games. I mean, our game against Horsham, it could have easily been a Conference South game. What I've found is it's harder attracting players. A lot of players want to have that belief to play in Step 2 because they see that they can progress. And the other thing that I find more difficult is attracting loan players. My record with loan players, Jack Curry had on loan from Wimbledon when I was at Eastbourne. He went back and is now, I think he got sold to Oxford's now on loan at Leyton Orient. Charlie Kendall. We had a number of good loan players, but the difference, as I say, was at this level, clubs, always want to try and not Step 3. They want to loan them out to a Step 2.
Thanks, Danny. Just on yourself, like, what was your club growing up? Like, what was your team? Any particular sort of footballing heroes that you can?
I mean, obviously, I'm born and bred in Brighton, so I remember following Brighton the cup final in 1983, going to Wembley on a bus as a 13-year-old. I'm not sure how many mums and dads would allow kids to do that now. And then I played for Brighton in the reserves when I was 15. Graham Mosley, who played in that cup final I went to, he was the goalie. I remember playing at Oxford United one night at the old Manor Ground. And then I was all right as a schoolboy player, but I never progressed, and I wasn't very good as an adult player. And then, sort of drifted out of football a little bit. Then soon got back in after a period of time playing at Burgess Hill, and then sort of snowballed from there, player manager of the reserves. Before I blinked, I was manager. I think back in that time, I won the county league by a record number of points. And that's how my sort of managerial career got going. But I actually think I learned so much from when I had a spell working with Mark McGee. And that's when I felt I sort of learned a lot from Mark, who managed at all sorts of levels in the Premier League, had been a national assistant manager for Scotland and many other clubs. And I learned so much from Mark over a short period of time. And I actually think now, it took me a long while, but I think I sort of have pretty much try and think you know what you're doing. But listen, I make loads of mistakes, and I made mistakes on Saturday. I even made mistakes on Tuesday night in that victory. I'll make mistakes at Leverhead on Saturday. But I think if you're honest and try your best, people normally are pretty happy.
What would you, on that note though, what would you say is your footballing philosophy? How would you, if you're seeing a Danny Blooor team, what you seeing like?
Well, I think the first thing is you want to have a winning philosophy, and you have to judge the facilities, you have to judge the pitch you're playing on. Listen, we all want to watch teams play like Barcelona and Man City, but you wouldn't ask your plumber to do your electrics, would you? So I think people have to realise that. The prerequisite of teams that play for me were like Tuesday night. People have to run. Our statistics for the game on Tuesday were incredible. I think it was 7 or 8 players run over 10K. So I want people who work hard, people who are honest, people who want to roll their sleeves up and have a go and play for themselves, play for their teammates, play for me and my management team, and then play for the club. You know, a philosophy is, I think it's something that you've got to be open-minded about. It was a mistake I made when I left Eastbourne. We were playing on a 4G pitch, had two of the best wingers around at the time, Shiloh Moremi and Liam Bravata. I felt you could go to Welling on a grass pitch and replicate that way of playing, and you couldn't. I think my philosophy is being flexible. However, my philosophy is I want to win games of football, because if not, I get miserable, and I was very miserable last Saturday night.
Yeah, I could tell on that one. Yeah. Actually, on that facilities issue, yeah, as a long-time Hastings fan, and facilities has been a problem for a while. Now, you wouldn't have had that at Eastbourne, and not at Welling either. I mean,
we did. We had it at Welling. It was a major problem at Welling finding a training facility.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was something that was difficult at Welling. Listen, you're going to say about facilities, and I've had these conversations with Ben White and Dean White. I think as soon as we can get a 4G pitch at the pilot field, it's better. It's better for the whole community. You know, I'd love to be going there on a Saturday morning. You see kids are playing on the main pitch, tournaments at half time. You can have competitions. I think the only way for any non-league football club is to have a 4G pitch. You know, it's a ridiculous scenario, in my opinion, when you win the National League like Sutton did. You have to rip your pitch up, then you get relegated. You know, you can't have a 4G pitch in League Two. So I think that's a crucial thing for Hastings United, you know, to improve and get up-to-date facilities.
Do you got any idea how far that's away, though? Because it's been
going
forever.
I try my best with the football. You know, that's not a question for me to answer.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
I mean, how do you get round it? I mean, we've got the...
Well, I'll tell you what we have managed to hopefully secure, and I won't really announce it just yet. We hopefully have got a 4G and brand new 4G facility outside of the area that we'll be training at. As I say, I won't just name it just yet, and that really will be crucial for us to know, particularly when it's not quite so bad this Saturday, because we're away this Saturday. Yeah. But when you're at home on the Saturday, you can't be training on your pitch on the Thursday evening. You know, and I must say, the pitch on Tuesday night was magnificent. It was as good as it's been since I've been at the pilot field. It was absolutely superb. And it was no coincidence we played some of our best football of the season, like we did at Lewis when the pitch there was outstanding. So, listen, but the other side about it, though, Chris, you have to roll your sleeves up. People are always looking for players, managers, coaches looking for excuses. It's the same for the opposition and it is for us.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, I'd say a lot of the chaps that I spoke to after the Chatham game said how well the pitch played, because it has been an ongoing concern for us Hastings fans, like last year as well. Like, it really cut up. Like, towards the end of the season, it was a bit of a pinball.
Pinball machine. I wasn't there at the end of the season. No. You know, listen, we take one. You know, and we have to be mindful of how bad the rain has been. You know, we seem now than when I was a kid get much more rain, don't we? And it's you know, seems to rain forever now. But listen, whatever it is, we have to deal with. We get on, and that is what it is.
Okay, all right. And so, performances-wise, ups and downs. Was that Lewis, where I thought going into that game, I thought, oh bloody hell, I think we're going to struggle here. We put a great performance on. If only we'd have got that second goal, I thought we would have won it. But like in football, the longer it carries on, the other side comes on, and it was some magical saves from Louis for a few one-on-ones that kept us in it. And then obviously we had the Craig game where we weren't at the races, and then again Chatham, I think you've hit the nail on the head, Chris. I think we just got to show some consistency. You know, we're still relatively new. It's a new group. But some of the players don't know me. We've made a few additions: George Walker, Billy Viger, Leo Young on loan. Forget Louis wasn't at the club last season, nor was Kane Penn, although you feel they're Hastings players, don't you? So I think we're still evolving, you know, but I felt Tuesday night, we changed our shape a little bit Tuesday as well. I was very, very pleased with Tuesday night, and I really do feel now it's got to be a platform for us to build on. I did ask some fan questions as well, Danny, if you're all right with those.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of the ones was like with you know, you've come in terms of your coaching staff, and you're working with
coaching team is myself, Razor, Bobby Deegan, Stefanos, the goalkeeping coach. We got other people who do analysis as well. So yeah, no, we're all good to go.
Yeah, it was just that thing of like normally when a manager comes in, they bring their own lot in, and it was
Well,
just.
I brought Sean Rain. I've known Sean a long time, and he's a Hastings stalwart.
Oh yeah,
he's done
legend.
everything. He's done everything for the club, and he's really good. I didn't know Bobby, and I wish I had known Bobby earlier because he's absolutely top draw. Stefanos I brought with me, I knew Steph from Eastbourne. So yeah, we're very happy with the way the management team is.
Okay,
but
good.
as I said earlier, we make mistakes, and that is
football. Yeah, I mean something I talk about on the podcast. I'm used to in terms of who I fancy for winning the league. Now, obviously, you're gonna want our lovely Hastings winning this league or getting into the playoffs. But who do you fancy? Who's
Well, as I said to you earlier, it boils down to budgets, and I think it's well documented. Folkestone, Billericay, even Chatham the other night, they have big budgets. Yeah. So it's really hard as well because Horsham as well, another side. I haven't seen all the sides play yet, so I don't really know if I'm honest with you. And all I can worry about is us. I try my best for Hastings United. I want us to finish as high as we possibly can. But also the other thing, and this is one of the things we're doing, there's other clubs in Sussex don't produce young players. We're producing young players. We played a 16-year-old in the, FA Cup. We've got on Saturday, we brought on Ollie Palmer, who's 16, Joe Clifford. We something of what really appealed to me to take the Hastings job, and I was offered other jobs, was the project of bringing young players through. I've done it at Welling. I did it at Eastbourne, and that's what appeals to me. I want us to finish as high as we can, to try and play a good brand of football and produce our own young players. You look at the other night, Finn Chapman. He's only 19. We're producing him. It's something that I enjoy and something we will do.
How do you manage him anyway? Because he's always come across as me. He's a bit of a lightly lad, a bit of
Honestly, you talk about characters, and but his talking does it on the pitch, doesn't he? He's been very patient. He's come on a sub. He scored a good goal against Horsham, didn't he? He's made an impact. I felt Tuesday night, I felt it was the time to unleash him. And boy, we did unleash him, didn't he? Scored, made a goal, run his absolute socks off, run himself into the ground, hence that substitution. And he got man of the match. So I expect big things from Finn Chapman moving forward now. He's sort of done his dues and he's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, what about that dancing though, Danny? Have you got any words on that that dancing for that goal?
Well, listen, if he scores goals, he can do a tap dance, he can do the Morris dance, he can do any dancing he wants. If he scores goals, makes goals, and runs his heart out for Hastings United, he can do whatever dance he wants.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, thanks for your time.
Anytime.
Danny.
Anytime.
And up the U's, please. Up the U's.
Up the U's.
Up the U's.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for your time, mate.
Cheers, pal.